Live on a sunny and cool Thursday morning, everybody. Get up, get up, get up. Let's go. If you're still sleeping now at 9 o'clock, I don't know what the hell you're doing. Dustin's played 5 hours of tennis already. He's good. Did you play this morning?
Just 3 hours. I was on the court at 6. I was on the court at 6. Yeah, dude. Yesterday I was in a dark place, man.
You were depressed yesterday after losing.
I was. It took me. I don't know. It ruined my day. Actually, is that sad? It's kind of sad.
No, because you're a competitive person. I get it. So yeah, it sucks. I don't like losing. When I'm coaching my son's little league and we lose, I'm pissed off for the rest of the day. So yeah, I mean, you're actually competing yourself, so I can understand that.
Yeah, it's disappointing because I put in a lot of time, a lot of effort. But it's very humbling, you know. And I went back today, played better today, got better, and here we are. I'm in a better mood. It's going to be like 65, 70 degrees today. I might even freaking golf later this afternoon.
Today? I thought it was supposed to be cool again today and then warm tomorrow.
Well, you live in Cleveland. I live in Akron.
That's true.
Here in Copley, Ohio, it's going to be 62.
All right. And I think tomorrow's supposed to be 70s. And then Monday's supposed to be 30s. And that's March in Cleveland. That wraps it up. I mean, that's
right. I mean, dude, 2 days ago, I had like it in the afternoon, it was like 68 degrees.
Yeah.
I took the convertible out and put the top down.
Yeah. You live in
in Ohio.
Yeah.
In March. It is a good life.
That's right. We're all doing good things. But you mentioned disappointment. The Browns have obviously been a disappointment. The Cavs have not. We'll talk a little about the Cavs at the end. But free agency officially underway as of 4 p.m. yesterday. And all the moves that had been talked about for 2 days have now become official. The Browns they've been somewhat busy. I mean, you know, we start with obviously the Myles Garrett extension over the weekend. And then they've made a handful of moves here. I talked on the podcast yesterday about Devin Bush and JTS, which is the nickname we're going with. The latest news in the last 24 hours or 20 hours, 2 things. Number one, a move the Browns did make. Malik Collins, released by the 49ers, signs with the Browns 2 years, $20 million, $13 million fully guaranteed. He's a defensive tackle, replacing some of their replacement for Dalvin Tomlinson, who I believe this morning signed with the Arizona Cardinals. Collins is 30 years old, was a third-round pick of the Cowboys. He's been on 4 teams in 9 years. 30.5 sacks, 51 tackles for loss, 88 quarterback hits, 8 fumble recoveries in his 9 seasons in the NFL. And then the other big news coming out late last night is that Russell Wilson will be coming to Cleveland. So let's start there, Dustin. Not coming to Cleveland, he hasn't signed, but he's coming to Cleveland to meet with the Browns. Now, we've talked about a lot of potential quarterbacks for the Browns, but for whatever reason, Russell Wilson has not been a name we've discussed. We've talked a lot about Kirk Cousins. We've talked a lot about Joe Flacco. So there's been a lot of those are the names I think we've talked about the most. We haven't talked about Russell Wilson. I would argue that Russell Wilson, in terms of how he's played in recent years, while not great, has probably been better than Joe Flacco or Kirk Cousins. What do you think about the possibility of Russ cooking here in Cleveland?
So it's interesting we have not talked about Russell Wilson because he's the one quarterback that you're right. We have not really mentioned. And I think part of the reason we haven't mentioned it is because, he was in Pittsburgh last year. I think a lot of people assumed he would maybe go back there. There was some speculation maybe he'd go to Las Vegas, then maybe he'd go to Seattle.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Then DK Metcalf goes to Pittsburgh, and we're thinking, well, maybe Russell just goes back to Pittsburgh because they don't have any other answers, as Justin Fields just recently signed with the New York Jets. So it's fascinating to me that his name gets brought up yesterday because the Browns have kind of been kicking the tires on almost every quarterback veteran that's out there. I mean, you've heard them being rumored with Kirk Cousins. The Rodgers stuff is out there a little bit. Joe Flacco, obviously, we talked about that quite a bit. You've mentioned Gardner Minshew. Russell Wilson, we haven't talked about. I'm happy that this is happening, Adam, because honestly, if you think about the quarterbacks left on the market, like I think Russell Wilson actually is probably one of the best options to get the Browns through a season next year. Now, I don't know if he's going to sign with the Cleveland Browns. That's to be determined. It'll be fascinating to see if he does sign, because I mean, he'd be jumping in division. He knows the Steelers inside and out, which certainly would help the Cleveland Browns. And I think it would put him in position to still draft a quarterback really, really high, and certainly they could still take a quarterback at 2 and probably should. But man, I'm kind of excited about this news. You and I haven't talked off air about this since it went down, because we hosted yesterday afternoon. We got done. The news comes down later in the afternoon, and here we are. So I like the idea that the Browns are kicking the tires on Russell Wilson.
I think it makes a lot of sense. And I was thinking, right when I asked you the question, I was like, why haven't we talked about it? Because Russell Wilson, listen, again, I'm not going to change my tune. There's not a quarterback out there that's going to make the Browns a Super Bowl contender. I think we all know that. But of all the quarterbacks that maybe especially fit Kevin Stefanski, Russell Wilson kind of does. He doesn't turn the ball over. You think about all these quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins become a turnover machine. Joe Flacco gave us great excitement for 5-6 weeks, but he turnover machine. Gardner Minshew is a big turnover guy. So, like, a lot of these quarterbacks, that's an issue. Russell Wilson does not turn, like, even last year when in the last couple of years as he's been criticized, last 2 years, his last year in Denver and his year in Pittsburgh, 42 touchdowns and 13 picks over 2 years. I mean, that's pretty good. He's only had double-digit picks 4 times in his career. So, listen, I think we all understand Russell Wilson is not the quarterback he once was, but I agree with your point that he's probably the best bridge quarterback they can get, and part of the reason for that is, 1 is the turnovers, the lack of turnovers, but 2, he's durable. Like, I know he was hurt last year at the beginning of the season, and he missed a few weeks. That's really been the only time he's ever been hurt. He's never had a significant injury in his career. So if you want to have a season where you don't have to go through 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks, and maybe you want to have an attitude where, hey, we're going to draft a quarterback and we want him to sit and learn behind a veteran, Russell Wilson, I would say, has a much better chance of making it through a full season than Joe Flacco or Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, and I really liked the things I heard out of Pittsburgh last year with the relationship, the dynamic that Justin Fields and Russell Wilson had, which gives me a good indication that Russell will be great with the young quarterbacks here in Cleveland. You know, even
good point.
Kenny Pickett's here. He's still a young player and probably, still has a chance to prove himself in this league. He's young enough. I'm not writing him off.
Right.
Certainly Aditi Kinkhabwala, friend of the show, is not writing him off either. She's a big fan and thinks he has a chance. So we'll see. But if it's Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, both of those guys would come into Cleveland and be able to learn from an former MVP, a former Super Bowl champion, a Walter Payton Man of the Year winner. I mean, like the guy's of really strong personality that you want to have in your locker room. Yeah, he's a little quirky, I mean, shoot, Jameis Winston was a little quirky last year too, but Jameis Winston turned the football over. We can deal with a little quirkiness if you take care of the ball. And you should. I mean, Russell Wilson's a hard ass working dude.
Yeah,
he understands probably his limitations at this point in his career. I don't think the expectations would be much more for him just to come in and kind of manage this thing, and try and turn the organization back around. Like just right the ship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, make them look like a professional football team. I mean,
100%.
That was
that's what Flacco. Adam. That's what Flacco did.
Yes.
For those 5-6 games back 2 years ago. He just made them look like a normal, decent looking offense, that looked watchable. Frankly, just watchable.
Yeah,
unlike what we've seen this year.
No, absolutely. You want to you don't want to look like an embarrassment out there, like a bunch of nonners. Russell Wilson gives them a level of professionalism. And another thing is, I was talking about this earlier in the week. I don't think you were on UCSS when I said this. The Browns have ignored character concerns in recent years. And thus they've added a lot of players with questionable character at best. Russell Wilson may be a dork. People make fun of him. He's kind of awkward at times in some of these videos he does. The guy is there's no character concerns with Russell Wilson.
No.
And the Browns need some of that.
Adam, he's corny. There's no doubt.
Yeah,
he's a corny dude. Like he's cheesy. Everything he does is kind of like Like remember the Subway commercial? He's like spicy.
I mean it's cringeworthy, but he's a high character guy.
He is.
And I'll be honest.
The guy's never been to the principal's office once in his life. Is the
No,
point. You know what
no
I mean? Like,
chance.
so you're not gonna have any issues with that. It's a complete flip from what we have had,
Right.
certainly at that position and on the roster. Like, there's been a lot of guys on this roster that have had, you know, questionable backgrounds, some red flags. So
Y-
it's time to try and return the organization back to respectability,
Yeah.
you know, and frankly, like, when your offense is going out there and turning the football over and just really putting your team in a bad spot, the defense took steps back last year.
Yeah.
There's a reason why those guys on defense look lackluster at times. It's because they were watching what we were watching, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Shit, we got to go back on the field."
Yeah.
I mean, I
Exactly.
understand.
Right. Russell Wilson's not going to blow you away with high end talent, especially at this point in his career. But he's not going to. He's more often than not going to make the huge mistake. He's going to keep you in the game, and I think he's a guy that, if you want to get a running game around him, they've obviously. I think they're going to address running back. I think fairly high in the draft, second, third round. I'd like to see them draft another tight end. This is a big draft for tight ends and running backs. Those two positions are really strong. I think the Browns want to go back to what Kevin Stefanski's bread and butter: two tight ends on the field, sometimes three tight ends on the field, run the ball, be smart with the ball, and that's Russell Wilson's that type of quarterback. Again, I don't think we're being unreasonable in our expectations. I'm not picking the Browns to make the playoffs if Russell Wilson's the quarterback, but I think he gives them their best chance of respectability and getting the organization trending in the right direction.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Now he may wear Bajorquez out. I mean, your punter's going to get some work
Oh
because
yeah,
he's going to take care of the ball.
yeah,
He's going to check down. He's going to throw the ball away,
yeah,
which is okay. By the
yeah.
way, it's okay.
Live to fight
You know
another
what I
day.
mean?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So
I think the Browns got to get it right with this running back pick. And the good thing about running back is all the time you see good running backs drafted second, third, fourth, fifth round. I mean, all the time. It's not a position you have to get in the first round. Certainly, there's some guys that have been drafted in the first round that have been great players. But like quarterback, almost every good quarterback's a first round pick. Whereas running back, you see guys all over the draft board that becomes not just good players, but superstars all the time. And the Browns really need a new bell cow back. Whether they end up bringing Nick Chubb back or not, or keeping Jerome Ford's here, obviously, this team needs a new 1A back. And if they can do that in the combination with Russell Wilson and Jerry Jeudy and Njoku and maybe another young tight end, maybe you bring in another veteran wide receiver just to add some stability to the group. Maybe you can get the Browns to respectability. That's all I'm hoping for this year. Respectability on offense. I think that's the goal. That's not the long-term goal, but for this year, that's the goal.
yeah,
Look like an NFL offense.
I'll take that. And
Yeah.
the other thing too, Adam, is that and we talked with Thor yesterday on our show about this, and he's a big draft guru who knows all these players. I mean,
Yeah.
he thinks that this draft is one of the deepest running back drafts we've seen
Yeah.
in a while. So the Browns could probably pick up a gem in the middle of this draft who
Yeah.
could be a legitimate bell cow I mean, we haven't had a bell cow since Nick Chubb was healthy. So
Right.
what we had last year was just not good enough.
Right.
But certainly they can draft somebody, get some fresh legs in here, and honestly, wear the hell out of him. You know what I mean? Run the ball 30
Yeah.
times a game. I
Yes.
have no problem with that.
Yeah. Who do you like? By the way, I can't remember if we've talked about this already, but of the two Ohio State running backs, do you like one more than the other? I mean, they're both kind of considered, really good backs. Maybe the second, third, or third.
They're a little different. Henderson concerns me with the injuries, but I do think that he is like the most complete between him and Judkins.
Yeah.
But they're both great. I mean, come on. Both great.
Judkins, I like Judkins because I feel more confident that he's going to hold up physically in the NFL.
He does. He looks like he can just withstand a ton. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He can take a physical beating.
And I think Ford would complement Judkins well. Like you can, third down, you throw the ball to Ford. Ford's good out of the backfield catching passes. But I like Judkins between the tackles, grinding out those yards, getting those first downs. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if the Browns are thinking about 33 taking a running back, or and who knows? Maybe they're waiting till later in the draft. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. And by the way, I'm now, to me, I don't want them to take a defensive player or two. I want them to either take a quarterback, and if they don't, for whatever reason, they don't like the quarterbacks, or Cam Ward's the only one they like and he goes at 1, I want Hunter. I'm all in on Hunter if you're not going quarterback at 2. Because he's a
What happened
special
there?
weapon.
Why'd you change your mind? Or maybe you didn't change your mind.
I think I was kind of undecided as to who they should take if they didn't take a quarterback. The reason, I just think Hunter has the possibility of being like a special weapon. Yeah, right? And I think he has the upside to be. We were talking yesterday about possibly trading for Brandon Ayuk, and you and I agree that, like, Jerry Jeudy and Ayuk are both similar tier wide receivers, like lower wide receiver 1s, maybe high wide receiver 2s, and you don't want to spend big money on 2 of those guys. I think Travis Hunter could end up being like an elite wide receiver. The upside is there with him, and so now if you get that, and then his ability to be used on defense sometimes, and if he reaches that potential as a superstar, well, now Jerry Jeudy as the second wide receiver, okay. I mean, he's a top-of-the-line number 2 to go with a potential number 1, and now you're talking. So then, for this year, fine, you give Russell some weapons, but let's say their quarterback of the future ends up coming in next year's draft. Well, that quarterback will be coming in with Travis Hunter 1 year under his belt, Jerry Jeudy still fairly young. I mean, with Njoku, hopefully a good running back they get in this draft. So if your rookie ends up not coming till next year, or even if he's drafted this year but he doesn't play much behind Russ this year, well, you're coming into a much better situation with some really good weapons around you potentially. So that's why I kind of like that.
So that's interesting. I mean, listen, I'm not opposed to Travis Hunter or anything. I don't think he's a bad player. I think he's an amazing player, an amazing talent. He's probably going to have a great career. Everything you hear about the guy, he's like just this hardworking kid who does
another high character guy.
Totally a high character guy. Like probably has never even had a beer in his life. You know what I mean? Like one of those type of guys. So like I'm all about that. I just think the Browns need to figure out what the hell they want to do in terms of who's going to get the ball to that guy if he's here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So look, if he's on the roster, I'm not going to be like, dude, I'll be the first guy in line at the pro shop to get his jersey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's how much I think the guy's a special player.
Yeah. In terms of free agency, you mentioned the Browns signed Malik Collins. I don't know. You have any thoughts on him? Seems like a solid player, much less expensive than Dalvin Tomlinson.
Another one of those. I mean, I was just going to say Tomlinson's name. I mean, kind of reminds me of when he was here and that signing. It's like solid player. Will probably give you some sacks, can give you some TFLs, be productive. Has been in the league for a while. I mean, he's been on multiple teams. Like just solid player. I mean, he's not making a ton of money, but was it 2-year deal, $20 million?
2-year 20, and then like 15 million guaranteed. I think it was 16, something like that.
It's kind of a big signing for how much the Browns have to spend. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. That I wasn't even expecting them to spend that much on any player.
Right.
And so they've added some solid depth pieces, and in Collins' case, he's a starter. I mean, he'll be the starting. He'll start up front for the Browns this year. So it's starting to take form what they're going to do on the defense, and I really think they're going to be heavy on offense in the draft. And we've seen them. All 3 of their free agent signings have been defensive players. And then including bringing in re-signing Bush. They've been heavy on the defensive side. Obviously, they traded for Kenny Pickett, but so far they've been busy making moves on the defensive side of the ball. And again, I think a big part of that is that they're focused more on offense. Obviously,
JTS.
JTS. 6 weeks from today is the NFL draft. Exactly 6 weeks. Let's get some fan reaction here. JCI says, have we heard anything about Flacco, or was that just speculation? I haven't heard anything about Flacco at all. Like nothing. There's been no rumors about anywhere that he's going. Have you heard anything?
I've heard nothing. Remember yesterday I did mention, like, we haven't heard the Browns mentioned at all with potentially having interest in Anthony Richardson. He's potentially on the
That's true.
trade market as well. I'm
Yeah.
not sure the Browns fans are interested, but I mean,
Yeah.
he's a young player who probably had a rough experience his first year or so in the
Oh, yeah.
league. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. He probably feels like he needs a change of scenery.
Oh, I'm sure he wants to change the scenery bad.
Evan419 says Browns fans have this weird complex where we all acknowledge we are not going to win the Super Bowl next season. We know it's a bad quarterback year, but we complain about every single option we have. It's still a crutch to keep complaining about the team and staying miserable. I don't think it's about staying miserable. It's about being realistic. Yeah.
And it's also about trying to win a championship at some point. Like no team, I don't think, has ever turned around from 3 wins to a Super Bowl team. Has it ever happened? I don't believe. Maybe I'm missing a team,
I
but
doubt it.
I mean, one of the best turnarounds ever was like someone went from, I think, 3 wins to a playoff team. I think it was the Dolphins a while back. But the point is, we're trying to become a Super Bowl caliber team. And how do you get to the Super Bowl? How do you get to be in the playoffs again? Well, you got to turn the franchise in from a joke, which they've been a joke for the last couple of years, to hopefully respectable next year, and get rid of the Deshaun money, get your draft picks in here, develop these young players.
Yeah.
Hopefully Stefanski does a good job so he can keep his job, and Barry does a good job so he can keep his job, and then you move forward next year.
Yeah.
And hopefully the tide starts to turn a little bit more, and you're thinking, okay, we're on the uptick. Because like the Browns 3-4 years ago were like, man, we got the youngest roster in the league. We've got all these great young players. They were there, they were poised, but then they missed their window and screwed up with the Deshaun thing. So now you're trying to figure out, do you start over, or do we say, let's go back a little bit and then turn it from there and pivot, which is, I think, what they're trying to do. And maybe Russell Wilson is the cog that can help them turn it around.
Yeah. No, that's true. And to Evan, I'd also say, like, are Titans fans, like, do you think any realistic Titans fan or Jets fan or Giants fan or Saints fan or Raiders fan, none of those fan bases, if you're a reasonable fan, thinks their team's going to win the Super Bowl this year? Especially in the AFC, where you have the gauntlet of great quarterbacks that, are all in their prime.
Yep.
Joshua says, help me understand why Will Howard isn't getting the push that a national champion who led his team to the playoffs. It's funny that he said that, because I feel like Will Howard's being hyped big time. Kurt Warner's a big fan of Will Howard. There seems to be very divergent opinions. I think there's some people that think, well, he won the national championship, he played great, so obviously he should be a highly drafted quarterback. And other people look at him and just say, I don't know if the talent to play in the NFL is there, at least at a high level in the NFL.
I did talk to I was on the Buckeye cruise recently, and there were, man, I won't give away anything. I talked to somebody who was, I won't say whether it was a player or a coach, but somebody on the team in the organization.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm like, you think Will Howard can be any good in the pros? Like, you think you can be like a Super Bowl caliber quarterback?
Yeah.
And they thought more of like a game manager kind of guy, like not next level. And that's one person's opinion. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a denigration of like his ability or anything like that. It was just like, I'm not sure if he's got the elite
top talent,
traits. Yeah. But guy just put the team on his back to win a natty.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a different level and it's a step up, but I mean, to do that and against the competition that he did in the biggest moments, like the pressure will never be bigger for that kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's certainly true. But I think the thing with him that a lot of people feel is, I saw this, and this is kind of, I mean, Baker falls in this category a little bit too, where it's not that he's bad at anything, but is he elite at anything?
Mm-hmm.
And I think
I don't know. I mean, elite at maybe being a leader, maybe elite at, poise, resilience, handling
talking about Will Howard or Baker?
Oh, sorry, Will Howard. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
I mean, do you agree with that?
It seems like he's a great leader. Obviously, I don't know. I'm not as locked in on Ohio State as I am with the Browns, but
same.
It seems like it seems that way. I mean, by all accounts, no doubt. Christopher says, Cam Ward will save us, Bull, and Dustin's haircut will fail us? What? Christopher taking a shot at your haircut. He doesn't like the is your hair a mullet? Is that officially a mullet?
I don't really know what it is right now. I'm
I
just
don't
scrolling
think.
it
Yeah,
along. It's kind of out of control. Look at this.
you got a lot of hair.
Just long.
Long. Yeah. That
I
seems
don't know.
inappropriate, Christopher, to be taking shots at hair. Somebody.
Oh, I don't care. Who
Somebody
cares?
asked
Who cares?
if.
I'm growing it out because I still have a little bit.
Yeah. The hot saucer says, Bull, have you considered bariatric surgery? We care about your health. I have, but right now's not the time. I'm doing well right now. I'm down over 30 pounds in the last 7 weeks. So
I love how we put that on the screen. I mean, for the haters out there.
Well, he claims he cares. Whether that's true or not, I don't know.
I think there's a little sarcasm in there too.
Yeah. Oh, certainly. Yeah.
But shout out to the Bet Rivers guys for putting it on the screen.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Let's see. Evan419 says, Bull, thoughts on Jason's hat this morning? Okay. I have thoughts on Jason's hat. Did you happen to see? Let me see if I could show you this picture. So Jason, I don't think I can
Jason Lloyd?
I got it.
What's it on? I can find it.
So bring up, they did an Ultimate Cavs show this morning. And he looked like, he just came back from Europe, and he looks like a Frenchman wandering the streets of Paris with this hat. Jason looks funny in a hat. I don't know what it is. Like, some people look good in a hat, and some people look funny in a hat. Did you see it or no?
I can't find it.
All right. Well,
yeah,
it's just
okay.
like,
this is great.
It's kind of like those hats that Dave Spano used to wear, like the caps, kind of. You know what I mean?
I don't know, like a Kangol kind of hat.
I think so. But it's just a weird look on Jason, just with a hat. He just looks funny. I don't know. So that's my thoughts, Evan. Evan, you know me, Evan. You know I'm always up on Jason's hat. In fact, I was in the Ultimate Cavs show chat, and I was talking about how he looks like a Frenchman. Folks, I appreciate the thanks. I don't deserve your. I'm not the thanks. I don't deserve your congratulations. I have to lose 150 pounds. Congratulate me when I lose 150 pounds. You're lost
down like 35 though.
Yeah, but it's meaningless until I lose it all. So I don't want to get any credit. Feel good. I want to keep plugging away. Okay. So there it is. Do I have any more here that need to be read?
Where do you see these chats at, by the way? I would love to see
I pop it out of the YouTube chat. I do the pop out chat. Christopher says, I was just playing. Bull and Fox are the best. Jay says, Jason with hate asking for a baguette would be comedy gold. Yeah, with that hat. Oh, with the hat asking for the baguette. Yeah, that would be comedy gold. All right, before we wrap up here, Dustin, the Celtics lost to the Thunder. Did you see that game at all last night?
No, I did not. I was out late with my daughter. Had a big tennis thing last night, so I didn't get home until 10:30.
Was she playing?
She was playing.
How'd she do?
I was a spectator. She did good.
Yeah, she's 16 now, right?
Not 16 yet.
Oh, she's going to turn 16.
16 in November.
That's hard to believe. We were just talking. My wife was asking me how old she was, and I said I think she's 16 or about to turn 16. So I was right.
She's a freshman, so it'll be 16. Yeah. I'm gonna have to buy her a car this year.
That's just insane. That's just insane. It's hard to believe, right?
It's crazy. I know.
When we first met, she was a baby.
Yes.
And now she's.
We started the show in 2011. She was born in 2009.
Yeah.
So she was a couple years old.
Just crazy. Can't believe she's 16. Anyway, let's talk about the Cavs. Obviously, they'll play Memphis on Friday. And the magic number down to 9 for clinching the 1 seed. I kind of wanted. It's weird. I kind of wanted the Celtics to win last night because I'm not worried about the Celtics anymore in terms of the 1 seed. That's over. I'm more concerned. I guess concerned is a little too strong, but I'm more paying attention to the Cavs battling the Thunder for the best overall record. In terms of if they played each other in the finals, who would have home court. But the Thunder have 12 losses, so it's just the whole season is crazy. If I would have said, if somebody would have said to me in the last summer, yeah, the Cavs are going to only have 10 losses with 4 weeks to go in the season, I would have ripped them. I would have called them an idiot, a dummy. I would have just killed them. And here we are, 10 freaking losses, unbelievable. All right.
Do you think do you think they're going to win 70 real fast?
I do. 70 and 12.
So they can go 15 and 2, right?
15 and 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. The only thing I'm worried about is at the end of the year when they have everything clinched, are they going to just rest guys crazy? But Z didn't realize he was on the air there. So yeah, I mean, I just like, are they going to sit guys? But they sat 3 guys against the Nets. I know the Nets stink, but they're playing a lot of bad teams down the stretch outside of after this Memphis game on Friday. In their final 16 games, they have 2 games with Indiana, 2 with the Knicks. I think they play the Clippers. Everybody else they play stinks. So they could win some of those games with like Donovan taking a day off or Darius taking a day off. So yeah, I think they got a good chance.
Our depth, it's so good that I'm with you. I think that they could win those games. I mean, I know that the Nets had that big lead or whatever, but whatever. The Nets actually aren't that bad of a team, even though their record is terrible. They play hard, you know what I mean? So yeah, they can win some of those games. They could beat the Clippers or whoever late in the season with the Donovan taking a night off or Garland or whoever.
Yep. All right. Austin says, love having you guys back together. We love being back together.
We love being back together.
We might have more. We'll let you know. And Joshua says, before you leave, quit standing on planes. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes.
I don't know what the rush is.
I'll wear that shirt next week. Quit
standing on
planes. It's more. Do I have a second? Are we hustling off here?
Go.
It's not like I don't have a problem with people like you want to stretch your legs or whatever. It's more the rush to go nowhere when there's just nowhere to go. And I can't stand the people. It's like they get their bags and they're in the aisle and they're trying to push to get. It's like you're not going anywhere.
No, that's right.
You know. And by the way, you can stand during the flight. I mean, I do it all the time. I walk to the bathroom sometimes. I'll stand up and just stretch my legs. You're allowed to. Once that seatbelt sign goes off, you're allowed to. In fact, they say it, Adam, you are free to move about the cabin.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So you can stretch your legs. It's not like the biggest thing in the world. But people, just have a little patience. It's a society here, folks. Yes. We live in a society.
People are animals.
Don't be animals.
Planes.
Don't be animals.
Yeah, when the seatbelt sign goes off, when the plane lands and they get to the gate, I will a lot of times stand in my spot. Like I'll stand in front of my seat and kind of stretch, but I don't ever go for my bags until the people maybe 2 rows in front of me are leaving. That's when I go for my bag at that point.
Don't you feel like when people behind you are like hustling and bustling and trying to like the encroachment actually like gives me anxiety and makes me like nervous. I don't know. It just puts the pressure on me. It's like, you know what? I prefer, in fact, it's a beautiful thing when people actually just sit there and it's like merging on the highway. It's like one in, one
be respectful.
One. You know, you just be respectful of your fellow man.
Yeah,
and allow people to just casually exit the plane.
And I even let the people
you'll exit faster with that mentality.
Absolutely. Just be respectful of the other people around you. I don't like when people from a row behind me get their stuff and then move into the space between me and the person on the other side of the aisle. That's rude.
Here's something else. And don't give me this. We're all mostly here from Northeast Ohio. I know there's some people that don't live in Northeast Ohio that are still watching this because they're fans of Cleveland sports.
Yeah.
But we fly out of Hopkins. I would say 70% of the time you're not heading to your destination. Okay. So we're all on a connecting flight.
Yeah.
So don't give me, I've got to connect. We all have a motherfucking connection.
Yeah. That's 100% true.
Sorry.
A lot of people do. Yeah. I mean, the only direct flights are like New York.
Yeah. If you're going to Chicago, Charlotte, Boston, New York City.
Yeah.
One flight a day to Miami.
Yeah.
Denver on Frontier. I mean, that's it. You know what I mean?
And,
like you're not. Go ahead.
And if you're arriving in Cleveland, there's even less excuse. A,
no one's connecting through Cleveland.
No one's connecting through Cleveland. And B, even if by some chance you are connecting through Cleveland, as unlikely as that may be, Cleveland Airport is very easy to get around. It's not that big, so you don't have to go that far. So, it's basically one terminal. I know there is another one, but it's basically one. So stop effing around there, will you? All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We'll be back. Actually, we'll be at a different time next week because I have a doctor's appointment in the morning next Thursday. So we'll let you know about a different time. But until then, I'll be on UCSS today, Everybody have a great weekend. Thanks for all the chats. Thanks to Z and Alex for producing today. We'll talk to you next time. Where else but right here in the bullpen with the Bull and Fox. See you, everybody.